let me show you a parsnip dish that will undo whatever parsnip trauma you've had in your life. If veggies went to Hogwarts, parsnips would be as lovable as the Professor Snape. They are woody, they are funky, and they look like albino carrots. But underneath all that, they have a heart of gold, and today I'll show you how wonderful they can be. Let's preheat the oven to 425 degrees and get to work. First, let's solve the problem of texture. Parsnips have an insanely fibrous and tough core. That's why it is very important to cut it out. Cut your parsnips in half and cut the tender flesh off, discarding the core. If your parsnips are nice and thick, you can stand them up like this. A common mistake is to buy the skinny parsnips, thinking that their core would be tender enough to be edible. I find that even the skinny ones have very tough cores, and they create an awful lot of work. Coring the big parsnips isn't so bad, but the skinny ones require a lot of chopping for very little yield, and their tender flesh is sometimes so scrawny that it's hard to cook. For today's dish, we'll need our parsnips in stick form. Now, let's talk about the funky flavor. Personally, I find 100% parsnip dishes a bit overwhelming, but I absolutely adore parsnips combined with other root veggies, especially carrots. As you can see, I have the same dislike of skinny carrots as I do of skinny parsnips, but for a different reason. I don't know why people think that smaller vegetables are more tender and sweet than larger vegetables. In my experience, it's rarely the case. Take carrots, for example. The big fat ones are almost always sweeter than the skinny ones. You want to end up with roughly a pound of carrots and a pound of parsnips. But when you are shopping, you'll need to buy 2 pounds of parsnips, since about half of the weight is the core. Let's add some black pepper, salt, and plenty of olive oil, roughly a 1/4 cup. I'm also going to add a splash of my grilling glaze, about 1 tablespoon, and about a teaspoon of zaatar mix, which is a mixture of mint, thyme, sumac, and sesame seeds. You're more than welcome to skip the grilling glaze and zaatar if you don't have them. In case you're wondering what they do, the glaze enhances browning and cranks up the sweetness, acidity, umami, and saltiness. Zaatar makes the dish more aromatic and contributes a little to acidity since it contains sumac. There are lots of ways you could roast these veggies. You could put them on a baking sheet in a single layer, but I prefer to do it in a skillet, particularly a cast iron skillet. This one is 11 inches and it holds 2 pounds of veggies very nicely. I actually like the fact that it ends up crowded. As you can see, this is nowhere near a single layer. This gives me a huge variety of textures and makes this dish so fun to eat. Mix it all up and put in the bottom third of the preheated oven until the bottom veggies start to brown, about 25 minutes. Just ignore the fact that the top veggies look a tad dark. By accident, I left the convection fan on for the first 15 minutes or so, which gave me that slight char. That's not the browning we're looking for. This is the browning we're looking for. See how caramelized the bottom veggies are getting? Let's give them a toss and put them back in the oven until we get more of that yumminess. Here they are 15 minutes later. Since we cut them into French fry shapes, there is absolutely no worry here about them being tender enough. So as soon as you get your desired level of browning, pull them out. I like to finish them with a little maldon sea salt, though taste them first to make sure you don't oversalt, and some chopped parsley. If you didn't use the grilling glaze or zaatar, you might want to give them a splash of lemon juice or balsamic vinegar or pomegranate molasses, anything sour to balance all that richness. As I was editing this video, I got this idea for an appetizer. Spread some hummus on a plate and pile these veggies on top. It's like a winter version of carrots dunked in hummus. That combo would also be wicked good in a sandwich, which just happens to be vegan. Here are more culinary tutorials for you to check out, and the link to my online classes is in the description below.